evening, and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday night we offer insight, education, and resources to in home caregivers and those that are affected in their world. These are the children, the parents, the extended family, and everyone who loves them. Our goal is to offer real life topics and learning through discussing real issues and offering real solutions. And tonight I am excited to welcome our guest, Chevelle Frederick, who is an elite newborn care specialist and co-owner of Harmony Baby Concierge, as well as a personal friend of mine. And she is going to come and talk to us tonight about something that is a passion of mine, and she is discovering is a passion of hers as well in this industry, and that is mentoring people and providing guidance to those entering our industry. So Chevelle, I'm excited to talk to you about this tonight. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about this topic. It's something that just has grown organically for me within the last few years. I remember so much about how it felt to start as a newborn care specialist and not really having the answers to anything. So I've really dove a little bit deeper into this over the last few years and trying to help people just kind of think about their transition into being a newborn care specialist and what all that really means. But as I talk to more people as an NCS, I find that a lot more people do just need guidance on how to get started. So I'm happy to give that a little bit of guidance.
Right. And you come at this not only as an experienced NCS, but you're also a business owner now too. So before we dig into our topic, just spend 30 seconds and tell us a little bit about your business.
So I'm co-owner of Harmony Baby Concierge here in the Dallas area, and we offer boutique newborn care specialist services to local people and local families in the area. And it really started off as a partnership with my partner, Alexis. And we had a little bit of overflow work that we had, and we were just growing our brand. And as time has moved on, we have a small team that we actually provide families to. And it's been a really great experience growing this business from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that you guys are doing a great job, and it's fun to watch you and for the opportunities when I get to kind of come alongside and see all the exciting things you're doing. So it's really awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
So let's dig into our topic tonight, because this is a passion for me. It's been really a goal of our company from the beginning, is to mentor people. And not everybody wants to be a mentor. Not everybody knows quite what a mentor is or does. So first off, can you maybe share with us why those who are more experienced in this industry ought to consider mentoring those who are entering it now?
Yes. So for me, I have received mentorship from you and from a few others that have been in this business a little bit longer than me. And it really has helped me think about my goals as being a newborn care specialist. It has helped me structure what type of service I want to give to my clients. And in turn, it helps me be a better newborn care specialist overall for these families. I think it's important that people are willing to share what knowledge that they have and what they've acquired over time, because it's kind of an underground type of industry. Unless you need the services, unless you know someone who's actually doing this, you don't really know. There's no real playbook. There's training, of course. There is training, but there's no playbook on how to get started, on how to navigate talking to your clients, having them be convinced of how to implement what you're teaching them, the parent education you're teaching them. Sometimes you have problems with a baby. So someone who has a little bit more experience than I do, or that a newer newborn care specialist, if they can pass on that information and help, it's really important. And also, mentors are role models. They can really help shape someone's career just by what they're doing in their own career. So it's really important to me that if you find someone who's a mentor, that they're very successful in what they're doing, and so that they can share what worked and what didn't work for them,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. And I love that point that you made that, of course, there's training, but having a mentor can really guide you because training, no matter how good a training is, no matter where your training came from, it can't cover every aspect and every nuance. It just like I say, babies are the best educators there are at the end of the day. It's the same sort of thing. The on the job work is that best sort of training, sometimes beyond the academic sort of thing. And having somebody to guide you is really key.
It is. It is. It's also important, I think, too, to network and mentorship. When you have a mentor, you don't only get just the person that you're speaking with, that's mentoring you. You also get their network,
Mhm.
and they in turn also get your network too. So it kind of goes both ways. But it's really important, I think, to build a relationship with someone that you can also trust, that could give you, accountability and feedback, um, but that you just help you go in the right direction when you're first getting started because it's difficult. There's so many things to consider when you're just starting out.
Mhm.
And if you don't have someone to tell you, oh, don't waste your time on that. You probably want to focus more on this aspect. You can waste a lot of time. So having someone to be able to kind of tell you which direction to go to is important. Also, it increases the mentees' confidence, making sure that they are getting used to thinking outside of the box. When you have someone you can talk to and you can dialogue with about um, the problem that you're having, it really makes you problem solve a little bit better. So it's mentoring, or at least having a mentor who is going to make sure they challenge you, kind of not in a combative way, but challenge you to think outside the box is really important as well.
Mhm. So I'm going to ask one question in just a minute, but before I jump into that, if somebody says, "Okay, great, this sounds fabulous. I want a mentor," how do they find one, and what should they be looking for in a mentor?
So in some training programs, there is an actual mentor mentee pipeline. If you uh, usually you're added to a group, or you may be in some social media groups, or if you're local, you may have some local groups that you've come to know. Try to find someone who matches your communication style, or whose communication style you can actually understand. See what they're doing in their personal business and ask them, just say, hey, do you mind being my mentor? Or, can I at least call you sometimes when I get stuck on some things? Um, but it's make sure you have something to offer them too. Don't just come to them and say, here's my problem, and don't offer a solution. You have to be able to think that through. You have to be responsible enough to actually think that through and not waste your mentor's time.
Yes.
So just find someone that you feel like you admire your business and your newborn care specialist style kind of follows, and just approach them and ask them.
Mhm. And what if the mentor or the potential mentor says, "I'm sorry, I don't have time right now." Is that necessarily a reflection on the mentee, or is it maybe just they really are that busy?
It could be they're just that busy. A lot of times I get contacted, and yeah, I have a few mentees that I help out. And I remember in the beginning when I started offering to be a mentee, a lot of people were contacting me, and I just didn't have the time. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean that I didn't like them or anything like that. It was just like I was at my capacity.
Mhm.
In addition to supporting families and working on my own business, I have to sleep.
Mhm.
So, you also want someone who's going to have the time. So if they don't have the time, it's okay. Just look around, put some feelers out, and ask someone else. And maybe they'll come back to you later on too. So you never know.
Absolutely. And I know you made a great point about bringing something to the equation, so to speak. I am a kind of a huge proponent of that. It's one thing to ask me for help, it's another thing to ask me to give you everything. And
Absolutely.
so when I mentor people one on one in a more informal relationship, it's usually those people that I see their own intrinsic motivation. If I get a question that you can find in 30 seconds on Google, I'm likely not going to work with them. But if it's a question that it would take some deep research to find, or maybe nothing exists out there, and I looked and looked and I couldn't find anything. Can you help me? That's entirely different. So I love that you made a point about that. How do you think that mentorship affects kind of our industry and what we do? Do you think it's an important part?
Oh, it's a huge part because the person who is doing the mentoring, especially if they're very successful, um, they are really supporting families in a very, very positive way. When you're first starting out, you may not know how to communicate with your parent because your client, and that is one of the most important parts. We can snuggle babies all day, but part of our job is to offer education and advice in a very supportive way. And if you don't know how to communicate that with a client, it can be very difficult. So sometimes if you can talk to your mentor and glean information from how they communicate with their clients and they're very successful, it reaches so many more families than if you're just stumbling over everything. So it really helps us look more professional in the industry overall. It gives us more of a solid foundation to work with when we're working with our clients. And it just makes you look more professional and polished. Role play if you have to with your mentor or mentee. Um, I find it just seems so much easier if you can talk about it in almost like a real life setting and you can just kind of pretend and go off the cuff. It makes that person think on their feet a little bit. And so they'll be much better when they are presenting to families. And overall, our industry looks more professional and more helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, those who know me know I despise role playing, but that does not change the fact it's an incredibly effective tool. So
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. And I love the point about getting people to think on their feet,
Mhm.
because that's a skill sometimes you have to develop. You have to really be intentional. And when you're working a job and you're sleep deprived and a parent asks you a challenging question, being able to think on your feet is a big skill. So I love that.
Right.
What if somebody says to you, okay, this all sounds really good, but you know, where do I find somebody? There's nobody in my network. Or, I didn't take a training. I'm self educated, because there are people in our industry who are self educated who are amazing. But I think maybe I could use a little guidance. Where else do you think they could find someone?
Um, I think, for example, we are all pretty much on social media. You're watching this on social media right now, in on one channel or the other, and you've probably seen someone's name flash, across multiple posts, and maybe you creep them a little bit and see how they're doing in their business, and so I think if you reach out to someone and just say, "Hey, my name is Chevelle, and I've seen you post in the groups, and I really like how you approach some of these problems, and I would love to find a mentor. Do you have time to mentor me? Would you have a few, even just a few meetings? Could we meet on Zoom or on FaceTime or anything, and just kind of talk? And I can." just talk to you about where I'm going in my business, just ask someone, but social media, like I said, that's what we have to connect right now. We used to have conferences and things that we could go to and actually meet in person, and we just don't have those anymore. So if you can reach out to someone, I get DMs all the time that say, hey, I saw you on something like this, or I saw you in a group, and I have a question. Could you answer that for me? And then if you have time, could we maybe meet more often? It's a benefit for, I think, mentors as well, because it helps them kind of refine their business as well. It goes both ways. It's a sound. Your mentee can also be a sounding board. They may think about things that you haven't thought about in a long time, because you're just operating, so efficiently, and you kind of forget about how it was to be new. Or maybe they have a new idea. Maybe they have resources that you don't have too. So it's a two-way street, the relationship, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully, us not having conferences is a temporary thing.
I hope so.
I love getting together with people.
Right.
But are there different types of mentorship out there?
Yeah, so there are paid mentor, or more like coaching, I should say. I would believe that is more falls in the role of coaching. And then there are, free, just peer to peer mentorships, that relationships that you can form together. Also, maybe you have a small group. I don't really think that having a large group is very beneficial. Maybe you have two or three of you that you get together and you kind of shoot problems through. But and it's more peer led. But yes, there's coaching. You can also pay for coaching. It's I want to call it mentorship, but I believe it's very similar, but it's probably more of a targeted goal for, a targeted goal for both sides. It's more efficient, most likely. Yes.
And probably more structured as well.
Structured. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
No, don't worry. So if somebody says, so Chevelle, I'm pretty new to this, and I've got some big ideas of things I want to do. How do they determine what kind of is the best type of mentorship for them? Do you have any advice around that?
Um, I think you have to look at your overall long-term goals as a newborn care specialist. Do you plan on just working in your local area? Do you plan on maybe having an agency one day? I think if you are just getting started, you're just trying to figure out how you can best help your families and your babies that you're working with, probably a free mentorship, just peer mentorship, would probably be best. But if you're going to further your career and have a larger scale agency, or work in multiple cities, then you probably want to get into the coaching where there's more structured.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are a few people in our industry that offer coaching packages. So it may be a little bit more difficult to find, but ask around and see who do you know that offers that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also talk to other people who are more experienced in the industry and ask them who helped them and what
Right.
format they did it in.
Right. Right.
That can be a great thing. I love too that you brought up kind of a variety of different goals. So many times I think newborn care specialists think, well, I have to be the travel all over the world, in demand, got to have an agency, got to this. And the reality is everybody has different goals.
Right.
And you can be just one of the best in your local area. And that's just as great a goal as I want to travel the world as an NCS.
Right. I think that when you first start, that's that's what you see. You see people are making so much money. They're traveling. They're doing 24/7s. They're doing it for 6 months, 9 months, a year. And you really have to think that out for your own personal life. That's something that when I'm talking to a new NCS that's really thinking about making the jump over is, what are your goals? What is it that you want to do? Is it what do you see other NCS is doing, but what is it that you want for your personal life? Because maybe you can't travel. Maybe you have a child and you can't really go all over the place. Maybe you don't want to work 24/7, and that's okay. There's no bad, wrong answer to this. You just have to think about what is it that you want for your career, and then frame it around that. Start there. Start. What is it that I want to do with this? Maybe, like you said, you just want to be the best person in your local area. The thing is, when you do become the best person in your local area, more opportunities will come for you. They will. So, have a plan for that too. How do you graciously say no if you have to? But I think talking these things through with a mentor will really help you kind of refine what it is you're trying to do in your career. And you don't have to do everything the first year. Plan it out. I transitioned over time because I wasn't really sure. And I know when I was a new work care specialist, I had lots of conversations with you about, how do I even find clients? Where do I go for that? How do I get my name out there? How do I make sure that every time I'm going somewhere, I'm talking about what I do? You will find the most unusual situations where you can talk about what you do, and opportunities will come from that. But a good mentor will help you kind of refine that. What's your elevator speech? I remember learning that from you. What's your elevator speech? Your couple, you've got 20 seconds to tell people what you do. So someone who's more experienced can help you do that, help you find out what works best for you.
Absolutely. It is amazing to me how quickly time goes. And we've covered a lot already. So I'm thrilled to death with everything that you've shared already. I know that our audience is going to benefit from it. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience, or one final tip you want to leave them with as they're looking at whether or not some kind of mentorship relationship is right for them at this point in their career?
I would say, find someone that is going to that you can put your trust in. Make sure you trust this person, because you will be sharing intimate details about your life. You'll be sharing details about your clientele. So make sure you find someone that you can trust. Make sure you find someone that's going to be committed to helping you. That they can maintain confidentiality, kind of goes with trust again. They're available for regular check-ins. You have to be available for regular check-ins too. And someone who's going to give you positive feedback, but also that you can take constructive criticism from, because that's what you're going to them. You're going to them for their advice, and they're going to tell you some things that you may not want to hear. So be open to that. So, and as I said earlier, it's not your mentor's responsibility to necessarily come up with all the answers. So make sure that you're thinking ahead about how to problem solve, and you're really kind of running it by them just to make sure that you're on the right track. And they'll be able to tell you, nope, scoot over just a little bit here, and oh, don't forget about this. So I think those are some things that I would wrap up with, and just say, make sure that you find someone that you can really have a great dialogue with, and that you can connect with.
Yeah, because sometimes those mentors end up becoming really good friends, right?
I know, right? You might go on vacation with your mentor. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, something like that. So, oh yeah. So thank you for joining us tonight on Real Talk, Chevelle. As always, it's a pleasure to chat with you, and it's an honor to learn from you. And I know that our audience is really going to benefit from the things you've had to share tonight. So I appreciate it very much.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, Tanya. It's always great to be able to share a little bit about what we do and how we got there. And I know just everyone is really appreciative that you have this platform for people to have those conversations on.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for something that we started out thinking we might do for 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah, it's been fun to keep it going.
Right.
So, as our audience, thank you for joining us tonight. If you have any questions around this topic or anything related to the benefits of mentorship in the field of newborn care, please put them in the feed and tag Chevelle Frederick or tag Newborn Care Solutions, and we'll make sure that you get an answer. And if you're wanting to rewatch this segment or any of our past Real Talk episodes, along with accessing all of our other content, pop on over to newborncaresolutions.com and click on the education tab, or check out all of our content on our YouTube channel. Just type in Newborn Care Solutions in the YouTube search function. Have a great evening and thank you for joining us. Good night.